all men and women deserve to be able to work in a place where they feel comfortable and not harassed in any way, shape, or form. I did not in any way in my intention intend to insult or demean or belittle any person in this regard.
It's another Me Too moment for the NDP. Former MP Peter Stauffer has been accused of sexual misconduct by a former NDP staff member who says high-ups in the party actually knew about her complaints and did nothing. Mr. Stauffer denies these allegations, but all this comes on the heels, of course, of an independent investigation into Saskatchewan NDP MP Aaron Weir, who was called out in an email sent by caucus colleague Christine Moore. Weir's parliamentary duties were quickly stripped. The allegation against him, harassing behavior toward female NDP staffers. But here's the catch. There's still no formal complaint against him, and he doesn't even know the allegations.
It's a real challenge to be accused of harassment in general without a specific allegation. I'm quite confident that I haven't harassed anyone.
Weir, however, is under a cloud of suspicion. There's also no time frame for the investigator to file a report. With all that, the NDP is holding their policy convention next week, and they need to find some political traction. To get some answers, we are now joined by the NDP leader himself, Jagmeet Singh, who, by the way, recently got engaged, so congratulations on that, Mr. Singh.
Well, thank you very much, Evan.
Big weeks ahead. Can we just start with Peter Stauffer, former MP? Will your party initiate a formal investigation to see who knew of the allegations against him and the way they were handled?
The allegations are very troubling, and I believe survivors. And I think this is just another example of why it's so important for us to be very vigilant about how we can change the culture in the halls of democracy of our country. In the place where we expect the highest standard with respect to workplace, we know that for too long there's been a culture of silence. So it's something that I'm very concerned about, and we are going to take the next steps as appropriate.
Okay, but can I get a formal answer? Will you do what the Conservatives are doing regarding a former MP of theirs, Rick Dykstra? Will you initiate an investigation into who in your party knew of these allegations against Mr. Stauffer? Yes or no?
I am, as a leader, committed to ensuring there's safe spaces for people to come forward, and that we will follow the process that we have to ensure that the process is guided by and directed by the person that's impacted, so that it's respectful of that. And it's also a restorative process to give power back to someone who's been stripped of power. That's the appropriate way to proceed. But I think it's respectful of the power imbalance that exists. Okay,
but Lauren Dobson Hughes has already come forward. I mean, her name has been in the press. She alleges on separate occasions in 2006 and 2009, he grabbed her and kissed her without consent. So I'm just trying to get this clear, because it appears now there's allegations against a former member MP of your party, but there's no investigation. And then with the case of Aaron Weir, there are no allegations against Mr. Weir. No one's come forward, and yet you've had an investigation. What kind of consistency does that show?
Well, in one case, there's a process that now is available, a process that's triggered, which is the survivor juror process. That's available, and we respect that. So that means that if there is a desire to move forward, there is a process in place. In the case of Aaron Weir, there was serious allegations, and I have a responsibility to my staff, to the staff, to ensure that the staff feels safe. And there wasn't a specific person that came forward to trigger the processes that we already have. And that's why I felt fit that we needed to have action. Something had to be done. It wasn't appropriate to ignore that. And
but
that's
you can
why
have the investigation.
I decided to have an independent investigation in that case.
But I spoke to Mr. Weir. He was on the program. He still doesn't know who's made the allegations against him. He doesn't know what the allegations are, but you stripped him of his duties. Why not just let him have his duties and then initiate, fairly enough, an investigation until someone comes forward?
I want to make it clear that there needs to be a fair process, and that's why Aaron Weir is still part of the caucus. But I wanted to create a space where people could come forward. And a part of creating that safe space, I felt that it was appropriate to remove the responsibilities as an MP in order to create that level, that space, that area where people could feel free to come forward and ensure that people understand that I take these type of allegations seriously.
Has anyone come forward, by the way?
With the example you've given with Peter Stauffer, we've seen that the process was broken, that an allegation was made, a concern was raised. If we believe survivors, something should have happened, some steps should have been taken, and this seems to have failed in that example. And that's why it's so important for me as leader to set the tone that we need action, we need to take steps. If there's concerns raised, there has to be something to show that we're actually taking it seriously.
Okay, I want to quickly close off this because there's a lot. Has any allegations, any formal allegations come forward now against Mr. Weir?
So at this point, the investigation has commenced, and it's not appropriate for me to bias that investigation in any way, so I'm not able to provide any information. I don't have actually any information at this point anyways, but I wouldn't provide any details if I did know, because it would bias the investigation, and I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that it's an independent and proper investigation.
How long will the investigation last?
There is 2 weeks provided for the opportunity for folks to come forward, and then the investigator has requested some time to evaluate how long it'll take to actually prepare the report. But we understand this is a matter that needs to be done very urgently, and we'll try our best to have it done in an expedient manner.